I'm Linda Ann Smith. Welcome to Studio ABC. Today I'll be using mostly DecoArt products to make a wedding gift for my cousin. Do you hate throwing beautiful wedding invitations away? So do I. You know the bride and groom have spent a lot of time choosing just the right thing. And so when I get a wedding invitation, I look at it to see if there are parts of it that I might be able to use to make a wedding gift for them. And here's just a map. But I noticed on this RSVP card that this little wreath might just be the thing that I'm looking for. Danielle is going to be named Cook, and we've always called her Danny, so she'll be Danny Cook, and that's a nice short name. I can work with that. So off to the craft store I go, and the first thing I do is look for the letters for Cook. And I know that I want also a capital C like their initial. So here we go. This is my basic thing that I'll be working with, plus the wreath. If you follow my channel, you may recall that a while back I bought some of these wooden boxes or wooden wall hangings at Hobby Lobby, and they were on clearance, so I got a really good bargain price. But the design's not going to work into my wedding gift at all. So what I'll do is cover up this white decoration with DecoArt's black gesso. First coat did not completely cover as much as I wanted it to. That's pretty typical. All you have to do is just add a second coat and you get good coverage. While that dried, I proceeded to work on some of the other steps of making this gift. I'm going to attempt to cut out this little wreath, and so I pad up my table with some old cardboard and a folder underneath it. I have one shot at this because if I ruin it, then I don't have anything else to work with unless I go to the other flowers on the invitation. So I decided to cut out the inside because I'm going to change what's in there. I don't want to put the RSVP onto their wedding gift. I don't think I ever would have made it with all the intricate designs in this if I tried to use scissors to fancy cut. But on this old mat knife that I bought at the hardware, I can just pop off a blade. You just pop it off to sharpen it, and then the next blade down is sharp and ready to go. So anytime I feel like it's a little bit too dull, I'll pop that off and go again. At this point in my plans, I'm thinking that I might leave the outside edge of the card alone and use it, but I'll have to see if that works out. I'm thinking that cutting both the inside and the outside might make it a little bit too fragile, although it's on really good cardstock. And it has a nice little gold sheen to it, so if I decide not to cut it out, it's still going to look good. Found that the easiest way to get a good clean cut was to turn the card so that all the cuts come back towards myself. Pull them back towards my body. That makes the cleanest, best cut. So all I have to do is rotate the card as I go to make that happen. Then I go back with the mat knife blade and cut any little areas where it was still attached a bit and just pop that center out, and I have the wreath without the lettering. I decided to paint the letters with Americana multi-surface satin, and the color here is turquoise waters. I wasn't quite sure of their colors, so I went on the bridal registry and saw where they had chosen some of the Pioneer Woman items that were in turquoise, so I'm hoping this fits. In getting placement of these items on the board, I realized that this was too big. This wreath was going to be too big, so I'm trying to trim off some of the outside edge, and I get a little frustrated with this. I don't like the way it looks, so I do decide to go ahead and do some trimming right around the edges. However, I don't get quite as intricate with it. I want it to remain sturdy, so I'm not going around each leaf, and I'm leaving a little bit of a white border all the way around the wreath. I go back to the letters and use Americana Decor Crackle medium and just brush it on top of each letter and around the edges a bit. I also put it over the gesso on the wooden wall hanging, and I'm surprised when I see this on camera that I could not see that design behind that at all in the light that I was working. It looked like it was completely covered. So that might be a note that you want to keep in mind. I probably would have continued even if I'd noticed that, because I'm going to add several layers to this. And I noticed that it crackles really well on this gesso. That crackle medium needs to be completely dry before you use an antiquing cream on it. This is red oxide antiquing cream. I'm hoping that this color will help tie the flowers in the wreath to the other colors that I've chosen. I brushed a little of this on at a time and then used a soft damp cloth to wipe away the areas so that it wouldn't be quite as predominant. Printed their wedding date and established on white paper and used teal zircon in twinkling H2Os to go over just regular typing paper, and it's kind of wrinkled there, but it's going to be fine. I'm going to glue the wreath to the outside of this using some matte medium. Then I brushed the entire surface with matte medium. You can see the lettering right through the twinkling H2Os, and the matte medium didn't seem to disturb the color either. I really liked the way the crackle medium looked on the background, but it didn't give as much crackle on the letters as I wanted, so I switched to weathered wood. I know this is going to work. Just brush an ample amount of the product on each letter to the surface of it and let it dry completely. The weathered wood is completely dry. You can use a gloss enamel in a contrasting color and go over the surface of the letters again, and the top coat will crack away and reveal the base coat of the turquoise blue behind it. I sprayed in just a teensy bit of water to make sure that this was a thin mixture and that it would crackle more easily that way. The crackling process begins almost immediately, but it becomes more evident as it dries. And try not to go over it too many times. I kind of brushed over that one several times, but the best thing to do is just put it on with one brush stroke and keep moving. If you do happen to stroke through it more than once, use a very light brush stroke so that you're not embedding that paint down into the crackle medium. You can see here how it begins to crackle and separate and show the background color. I added a few streaks of the turquoise waters into the background, and then also used the buttermilk color. And now I'm flicking just little splatters of paint around this to give it more of a rustic look. Once everything is dry, it's time for me to start assembling the pieces. I just arrange them. I've arranged them a dozen times, but then I try different arrangements to see which I like best. Sometimes I move the letters up or down or around to decide where I want the exact placement. And I settle on this arrangement, but first I use an old file folder to line up the letters, placing them right against the file folder to be sure that the edges are all straight. I use E6000 glue and spread it on the back of each letter, and then using that line of the folder as my guideline, place those letters exactly where I want them, straight in a line. I actually did the C and then the K first because I knew that I could line up the two O's better once I had the space arrangement established. That all finished, I removed the folder. Those are all in place. Letters are all lined up just like I want them. Remove the folder, and it's time to add the little established by with their wedding date to the bottom. I see that the white edges on the wreath look a little stark for this particular composition, so I'm going to use some of that antiquing medium that I used before on the board to go around the edges. I just use my finger and rub it on to the edges of the wreath. It adds just enough color to blend everything together. The E6000 glue would not be a good choice for paper because it'll leave little ridges and bumps that you don't want. So I'm going to go back to the medium that I used before, the clear matte medium. Use a brush and spread it like glue on the back of the paper, and then pop that right into place on your board. My final step will be to take this outdoors and spray it with Triple Thick. This is DecoArt's Triple Thick that adds a high gloss to your project. I'll do this later outdoors because I need really good ventilation. I forgot to mention earlier that I took my fingers and added just a little bit of the antiquing cream to the letters also to make the color scheme work a little better with the flowers. I hope that the bride and grooms find this a little more special because I used part of their invitation as part of the gift. So, Danny and Cody, Mr. and Mrs. Cook, I hope you have a long and prosperous and blessed marriage together. You both deserve it. And best wishes to an amazing couple. If you enjoyed this project, please give me a thumbs up, share it on your social media, and make a comment below. Also, please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of the other projects that I do. And I'll list all of the links for my personal links and DecoArt's links in the video description box below. Thank you for watching.